Good morning, Republic. Today is Friday, February 21st, 2014, and this is the K Shaw Show, where I talk about news and whatever comes to mind that mattered to me today. Our first talk today is the fact that we have civil unrest in many areas of the globe. While there are situations in Africa that are insane, and I could go ahead and cover Ukraine, I'd like to instead divert a bit of attention to Venezuela, because for personal reasons, hi honey, it does bear mention. Now, where's Venezuela? For all my members of the Republic with fine American geography skills, Venezuela sits atop South America at the bottom of the Caribbean Sea, bordered by Guyana, Colombia, and Brazil. So, first, let me point out that Venezuela has the largest proven oil deposits in the world. Okay, not in South America, or the Americas, or even the West. I'm talking the world. With the lavishness of countries like Dubai and Saudi Arabia due to their exportation of oil, it's crazy to see a quarter of basic goods like milk and toilet paper available on store shelves, according to a Business Week report last year. Venezuela is currently looking at inflation rates of 56%. So let me put that number in perspective. The only two countries in the world worse than that are Belarus, because that's just a money pit, and South Sudan, which practically just got independence after a genocidal civil war and is still having civil war issues. The next few countries even close in terms of rate of inflation: Syria, which is going through its own long bloody civil war, 37% inflation. Sudan, reference South Sudan for its issues, by the way, only 31%. And Iran, which actually stopped its nuclear testing due to economic sanctions that drove the country to inflation of rates past 27%. So let me repeat that. Iran, which was doing this whole thing, I want to bomb Israel and stuff like that, and I'm going to develop nuclear weapons, it ended its big talk at 27% inflation, and Venezuela is sitting at a rate of 56%. Protests are occurring almost daily now as crime rates are skyrocketing. Now, these crime rates are skyrocketing because of scarcity of goods. There are no goods because the local merchants can't import goods due to the low value of the Bolivar, the Venezuelan national currency. And yeah, I know I totally said that like a gringo, but whatever. At the same time, while those importing can't pay international exporters, the federal government is forcing those same stores to distribute any available goods at low prices. Think a Big Mac for only $1. So like they're selling computers like laptops and desktop computers at half the price of what we as Americans would pay. So you remember that quarter of goods being available on the shelves? That was after the government stopped reporting on the actual levels of what's actually available in stores. Now, I mentioned how the government has stopped reporting on levels because there's been a near complete media blackout on the situation. When protests became violent last week, international media outlets heard nothing. The government is powerless to control rampant crime which has resulted in the death of 2 beauty queens in as many weeks. In a country where pageant winners and contestants are revered as much as pop stars and sports stars are revered here in the States, that's inconceivable. Yet it's only been this week that these reports have been slowly trickling out. International outlets are only finding out due to the huge push to get the message out through word of mouth and social media. Thank God for the interwebs. In another story that hits home for me, American College in Obstetrics and the Society for Maternal Fetal Medicine released guidelines this week in obstetrics and gynecology condemning the increase in unnecessary C-sections. Our rates of the procedure in this country have increased by more than half since 1990, but it isn't because it's any safer for the mother or for the baby. In fact, after a cesarean birth, any natural birth after that can lead to complications. The report shows that doctors are quick to jump to the procedure, which is a major surgery, like a heart surgery, as if labor wasn't bad enough. If labor times go longer than the 2 or 3 hours that are normally thought as, oh, this is a time period, these are the time guidelines. Now, I know a lot of women might think, I don't want to be in labor that long. What about my baby? Well, the report shows that babies that were involved in longer periods during the second or active phase, read the pushing phase of labor, lasting more than 4 or 5 hours, didn't do worse than those whose active phase was shorter. Some of you might say, well, what about me? That's kind of painful. Hey, I'm a dude. I can't say anything about that since you'll have to deal with that. Yet the report does stress patience instead of jumping the gun to medical invasive procedures like introducing Pitocin or going into cesareans. These procedures can be delayed in favor if the mother chooses vaginal birth. Now, in terms of cesareans, let's keep in mind that this was once used as a last-ditch effort to save the life of the baby, and many times doing so at the expense of the mother. Which brings us to today's question. Have you heard of doctors pushing for cesareans, maybe as expediting the labor just to maybe save money or to cover their own behinds? Or what was it like in your situation? That's all I have for today. For more info on any of the topics discussed today, you can go ahead and look. I have a couple of links posted below. Comments, suggestions, hateration, well, leave them in the comment section also down below. As always, I'm K Shah, and you've just been creamed. Check out the baby registry.